Hello, everybody, and welcome here tonight to Stafford Motor Speedway, where we're racing these wheel and tour modifieds around this half-mile track here in the Thunderstruck Super Series for the Mr. Meza Tacos 125. My name is Zach Wetstein. I'm here tonight with Will Paisley. How you doing tonight, Will?
I'm doing pretty good. Looking forward to some modified tour racing here at Stafford Motor Speedway. It's not the most common of tracks that's ever been raced, but it is definitely a pretty nice one. It's looking like we're going to be able to have racing that's pretty similar to what we had at the the USA Speedway that was in Langley before. And yeah, so this is going to be a pretty fun one, I think.
Yeah, half-mile track and very close, very tight track, and you look at the turns and that bottom line to middle is going to be where you want to be. You don't want to be trapped up on that high line on these restarts. So we're going to find out who's going to be on the high line on the first initial start of the race, as we are under qualifying here. So we'll go ahead and head over to qualifying. As we have Garrett Kinder on track here. Turn on the sound for y'all. Yeah, I was kind of in the voice channel with him when he was practicing, and he's been battling a loose race car, so we'll see if he's gotten that under control.
Yeah, you never want to be battling with a race car that's just a little bit too loose. I mean, you definitely want a loose race car when you're starting out, but especially in qualifying, if that car's just that little bit too loose, you're not going to be able to extract the outright pace from it. You may be able to get away with it in the actual race because the cars tend to tighten up, but if you're doing it, but if you're just a little bit too loose in the qualifying session, you're not going to quite eke out everything that you could have.
Kinder did have the pole for a little bit, but three people now have bested his time. Kevin Dowd, you're watching there in the 90, just took the pole spot away from Cody Boehm, who had it just for a little while before he took it away. Got Frank Barbary here out on track in the 29 machine. Looking to maybe make it a different pole sitter. Is Jeff Paisley now on top of the board. Ryan Bean qualifying just now as well. And I mean, you know from kind of past experience in the series, if Ryan Bean gets that pole spot and that clean air to start the race, it can get scary for the other drivers.
Yeah, I feel like we almost need to give him an EOL at the start of the race just to see what he can do. I mean, the man's been incredible all year.
Speaking
he
of,
just puts out a really, really good lap there from him, and that's probably going to end up being our pole. I feel like we almost need to put him in the back and see what he can do. I mean, he's definitely been the star of the season for sure.
So we have 17 drivers, and if you followed along the season throughout, first of all, thank you. I mean, we only have 3 weeks, 2 left after this one of racing in this series. It's gone by very quickly, and if you have been with us through the series, you know, but if not, we have kind of a system where if we have more than 15 drivers, the top 15 qualifiers will make it to the main race, and then the next 5 drivers, if there are that many, will fight it out for the final 5 positions in the race, and we fill up to 20. But tonight we only have 17, so I imagine we'll just kind of skip that B main that we usually have, or we'll just see 2 people race it out for 20 laps.
I think that would be pretty entertaining, just seeing the 2 people, especially if they're relatively evenly paced, just kind of duke it out, because they're not really going to have to worry too much about whether or not they're going to make the main. So, I mean, they could pull some real crazy moves if they wanted to.
Yeah, Ryan Bean, Jeff Paisley, Kevin Dowd, Cody Boehm, Harold Rothery. That's how your top 5 goes. Garrett Kinder, Josh Oswald, Casey Kuntz, Michael Swink, and David Hall, your top 10 through qualifying. And then, yeah, we have Joaquin Meza, Rusty Modesty, Frank Barbary, Mikey Keller, and William Griffith kind of round out that top 15. And Philip Manza was the last qualifier in 16th. So we'll see. I imagine they'll just skip it, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm betting that they'll skip it too. But a bit of a surprise to see William Griffith all the way down there. He usually's a bit faster than that. Must have kind of messed up his qualifying lap.
Here's a look at the remaining schedule for the series as we go to 5 Flags next week. at the end of March there, and then we head into April for our championship race at South Boston Speedway for 125 laps, and that will end out the season for the Wednesday Night Thunder Modified Series. We made our way through 6 SK Modified races, and we are now over 3 races into this Wheel and Tour Modified part of the schedule as we head into tonight's race. And we'll see. I have to imagine they would have skipped, but I guess not. Maybe they'll just race it out with one person.
That would be that would be an experience, to say the least. I mean, it definitely give him a little bit of an advantage, right? Because then you just get just a few more extra laps and relatively close conditions to the.
Yeah, he's not on track anymore, so he's not on track anymore. So, or unless I actually, he might be on track. I just have to go to TV1. Yeah, he's still.
Yeah, it looked like he just blinked out for a moment.
Yeah, he's there, and if I was running it, I would have skipped this. But hey, I mean, if you're gonna stick to rules, I guess you have to run the B main. But
yeah, I mean, you could go on board with him and kind of see what he's doing. Get a little bit of a on-board action, kind of see the line that he's going to be taking throughout the race. Maybe he'll run the outside line. Who knows? Throw everybody off. Be like, this is actually the fastest line.
I don't know if I've ever seen this, to be honest with you.
No, I can't say that I have either. That's hilarious.
Well, it'll. I'm not sure. I mean, he's waiting the entire grid time, so.
And I just realized that he could make this real painful if he wanted to, and just like not go.
Okay.
Everybody's cheering him on in the chat.
I guess we're just gonna go on board with Philip Manzo this race. See what line he's running. Why not?
A lot of pressure. All eyes are on him.
He only has 15 eyes on him.
In the lobby. That'd be 30 eyes, right?
Well, 20 laps of experience for Philip Manzo here. Not racing around anybody, but.
Oh, they're trying to fast forward it, but apparently they're not able to.
Ah. Oh, sorry. I thought you might need a track map to keep track of where the one driver on track is. My bad. Well, set to go racing for 20 laps with one driver here in this B main. Unfortunately, they were not able to advance the session. Usually you're able to advance the session no matter what it is, but I guess not when you set up heats.
Yeah, very strange. It has to be a bit of an oversight for my racing, right? Because then nobody surely would have thought of this, right?
Right.
That kind of thing happening. I mean, I definitely wouldn't have.
Well, Philip Manzo, the green flag is out. We're going to follow along with him here on board, as actually Aaron Ward has made it out on the track.
And Manzo is just absolutely dominating the competition. Nobody even in sight.
Oh, no, he's not.
I mean, he's got a full crowd for him, though, if you look. Yeah.
Good Lord.
Oh, they clicked advance to next session. Maybe it'll work now.
Maybe it'll finally work. Philip Manzo's like, I don't mind being in the lead here in this heat race.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see anybody near him, so clearly he's doing something right.
Well, he knows he's going to make the race. That's all that matters. Yeah, that really is just weird that there's no advance the session option for heat racing. Because I know that at least, when you have qualifying, practice, race, you can advance the session to no matter what you want. So.
In the race server, it's showing that they clicked advanced to session, but it's just not doing it. So.
Huh.
Well, congrats to Philip Manzo. Guess he gets a little bit of a track day as opposed to everybody else.
He gets a lot more screen time than everybody else.
Heck yeah. They're talking about us in the chat, by the way. They're saying oh, he's got to be so far ahead right now. Which he is. I mean, obviously,
yeah, I
there's nobody around him.
I can be a real smart aleck. Philip Manzo in the lead. He has how many laps are we in? 7-lap lead over Aaron Ward here in the lead. Nobody in sight. Absolutely burning up the competition here in this B main.
Yeah, and he's putting on quite the show right now, isn't he? It's just incredible how quickly he's going today.
I mean, he's just lapping everybody so quickly you can't even see him when he goes by him. I mean, it's incredible pace here by Philip Manzo. I mean, I'm surprised those tires haven't already blown up by how fast he's going.
Yeah, I think we need to start calling him the Flash instead of Hitman.
Yeah, I mean,
just so fast, no cars can even be seen.
Passing him so quickly here. I mean, good luck for these drivers in this main race because I think Philip Manzo, with the pace he set in this race, has the win in the books already.
Oh, certainly. I mean, you look at this, like, there's no way that anything else could happen.
I've just never seen this dominant of a B main before.
I know. Start to finish, he's just been straight up to the lead. No mistakes, no cautions, just solid driving from Phil Manzo.
Yeah, it just looks like he has absolutely no pressure on him in that car. He's just riding easy and free here. No pressure. I assume that anybody else in this car would just be, absolutely tortured by the pressure that's on them right now. And Philip Manzo, the beast he is, just calm and collected in that car on lap 12 of 20, come to 13.
Absolutely, and if you look, it's just a little bit free too, so he's doing a good job of handling the car. I don't think there are many people in the field who would be able to handle it quite as well as he is right now, considering how loose it appears to be. Doing a great job out there.
Yeah, Aaron, I mean, we got people in the chat rooting him on here, as he's going to look to collect the B main win and, I mean, absolutely leave the field in the dust here in this B main.
I think we need to give him a trophy for this performance that he's showing right now. Just absolutely dominant.
This is great.
Yeah.
I think I've used up my my smart aleck broadcasting words.
Spectacular, sensational, some of the words that you could use. Let's say we could do the Russian broadcasting as well, if you'd like.
I think I'm good there.
Let's say, as my babushka would say, he went through turn 4 like it was.
Well,
I don't know.
Three laps to go here in this B main. Gosh, Aaron, I see her in the chat, man. How could you be 18 laps down, man? Come on.
It's because he's putting stuff in the chat. That's why. Come on, man. You still got time. You can catch up. Stop putting stuff in the chat, and you might be able to keep up with it. You know.
I haven't seen. Aaron, we've talked about how he's just dusting the field, and you can't see the people when he passes them. He's going by so fast. We haven't seen your car yet, man. He's passing you that quickly, I guess.
Yeah.
I imagine. Yeah, Phil's in that main group general chat, just listening to everybody in there, saying everything they can about what's going on here.
White flag, 1 to go. All right, here he goes, going into turn 3 for the final time. An absolute dominant performance here from Philip Monzo. Gonna get a new nickname here as The Flash.
Absolutely astonishing pace from Philip Manzo there in that B main. All right, now we'll move on to the main race here in a couple of minutes. Actually, 5, so we will be right back with you guys. All right, we are ready to go racing here as we got 125 laps ahead of us, but we're going to go ahead and pull up your grid for the race as Ryan Bean gets the pole spot with an 18.592. Next to him will be Jeff Paisley in that 7 car. Kevin Dowd gets the 3rd position here tonight with Cody Boehm starting in the outside row, outside of the 2nd row in that 78 is Cody Boehm. Starting P5, Harold Rothery with Garrett Kinder in this 76 on his outside in 6th. Josh Oswald starting this one in 7th with Casey Kuntz in 8th. Michael Swink in 9th, and David Hall rounds out the top 10 in the 5th row.
Next up, we got, I believe that is Joaquin Meza in 11th, with him being followed by Rusty Modesty, then Frank Barbary. Mikey Keller comes up in 14th, then William Griffith in 15th, and then the absolute monster that we just had in the heat, Philip Monzo, holds up 16th. As the cars get on their way. Now we got a whole bunch of cars on track. This should be a little bit more interesting, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Than the heat race.
20 cars, or not 20, 16 cars, sorry, that will fill the grid here tonight for 125 laps, which is probably our smallest amount of drivers in a race so far this season, but more than enough for this track.
Yeah, this is not the biggest of tracks, to be sure. So having a relatively small field isn't necessarily a big deal. In fact, I'd say for a track like Stafford, if you were to go there weekend to weekend, this would probably be about the size that you'd see for a modified series. So maybe it'll add a little bit to the realism, I guess, when you have pretty much what I would consider to be a relatively realistic amount of cars on track.
Ryan Bean and Jeff Paisley, your front row, going to lead this pack to the green flag here tonight. That pace truck is off. First start of the race is going to be on the iRacing green. So green flag is out. Ryan Bean, Jeff Paisley going to lead that field into turn 1, and everybody's shuffling position already.
Yeah, and I think that you almost want to be on the inside on the start, because that inside appears to be relatively dominant. So you're going to want to just try to keep the people that are faster than you behind, right, by just holding that bottom. And if you started on that outside, you may get shuffled just a little bit. But I mean, it is a track that has a lot of braking in it, so there's definitely the possibility for being able to get past somebody, whether or not they make a mistake or just you get through the corners just a little bit better than them. It's definitely one of those things that can change over a race. So if you do get shuffled, it's not the end of the world. Just make sure that you keep it calm, keep it collected, and you should be able to get back and have a good finish by the end.
Everybody started to get single filed out now, as Ryan Bean still has that lead, and about half a second over Jeff Paisley. Behind Jeff is Cody Boehm. So Cody moved up a spot from that start, but your front two has remained the same. The biggest mover so far, only 3 spots for William Griffith, but I mean, through 4 laps, that's still a good pace to set, as he's already made 3 passes, and he looks to move on to Joaquin Meza for 11th here.
Well, I mean, if you take that average of how many passes he's been making, I mean, you'll eventually make it to the lead relatively quickly, and then you'll probably end up lapping the field if you can keep that kind of pace in terms of passing cars.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, it gets a lot tougher the further up the field you go. So with every pass you make, the more pace that could be in front of you to try to catch up to. So Griffith's sitting right now in 12th. We'll keep an eye on him throughout this race, as everybody's really single filed out and starting to get into a groove here 7 laps in.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit single filed here, but that's all right. That means that everybody's just trying to let their cars work for a moment. Once the wear starts coming in, everybody starts to have to work just a little bit harder. I think that's where you're going to start seeing the passes coming in, because the tracks, especially like these that are a little bit flat, they only have one line that really works. So you need to just be able to get a good run on somebody, and oftentimes that'll end up coming as soon as the tire wear starts to show.
Sorry about that. So right now, Cody Boehm is starting to work on the back bumper of Jeff Paisley here a little bit. But we always talk about it. It doesn't matter what series I'm broadcasting. We always talk about the fact that it's one thing to catch somebody and another to pass them. So we'll see what Cody Boehm is able to do here to try to get past the 7 of Jeff Paisley here early on.
Yeah, and it's definitely one thing to pass or to catch somebody in these cars, but to pass it gets a little bit harder because these cars seem to not like making contact with the rear end as much as other cars. They tend to have a tendency to pivot a little bit when they make contact. So you definitely don't want to be the guy that's kind of getting your bumper beat off here. But so far, my dad has actually done a pretty decent job so far of holding it down. All he can really do is just try and keep his car right where he is. You know, not make too many mistakes, and he should be able to stay relatively well ahead of him here. Just maybe his car will catch in just a little bit later than his. You never know how much that guy behind you is really pushing.
Good amount of cars here, and this line behind him starts with Kevin Dowd there in the 90 and 5th place right now. Harold Rothery right behind him. Josh Oswald, Casey Kuntz, David Hall, and Rusty Modesty all the way back to 10th back here. So this is maybe another case that maybe Harold Rothery has a little bit more pace than Kevin Dowd right now.
Oh,
and
he makes
Kevin Dowd
contact with the wall.
Makes the mistake that Harold needed, and he gets past him, and that's going to open the door for everyone to pass him on the inside line.
Yeah, and I was just saying about how making mistakes is kind of just the part that you really can't do in a race that's like this, where there's that one line. You have to be pretty perfect throughout most of it, or you're going to end up having a problem of where you just lose those positions if the guys behind you are a bit faster. Those little mistakes, those little details are what are able to bring out the most pace out of somebody. Because you can have natural pace, but if you're making the mistakes, those little things add up. And just like that there, he makes a bit of contact with the wall, not too hard, and he ends up losing a couple positions from it. As we have a caution, it looked like the car actually flipped. Not sure who it was, though.
Joaquin Meza in the grass right now.
And I would assume it was him.
I would assume as well, but we'll see. Yep. And looked just like a self-spin. We'll check it out. Yep, hit the wall, and, well, with the iRacing physics in these cars, that flips them around.
Yeah, iRacing physics definitely don't like tire to wall hits. The IndyCar has a bit of a tendency to do that as well, so it's a little bit unfortunate for him, but I'm not sure if he's going to get too much damage from that, really, because of I mean, he didn't hit very hard on much of anything, so I mean, I would still probably go and get my faster pair, but he's probably not too terribly off here.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've raced the IndyCar recently, but now if you barely even touch the wall, you lose a wheel. So they have they've updated the sensitivity, I guess, of the car when it touches the wall.
Yeah, I mean, in real life, you make contact with that wall ever so slightly. I mean, that bends like the some of the arms in the back wheels, right? If you do that with the rear, I mean, if you hit it with the front, I mean, you can bend the bars up front. You don't usually see the tires rip off from it, but you do see it break when you make real
well,
contact.
yeah, that's mainly what I meant, was you see kind of that tire wobble a little bit, or you see it kind of go in a different direction, which is no good, obviously.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to see that when it's pointing the other direction and you're still going straight. Like, there's a bit of a problem there that you may want to fix, because something ain't right with that. Generally speaking, that's not the fast way, especially with the Indy cars, because any little bit of damage that you have on that Indy car on an oval, and I mean, that's pretty much your race, really. Because those cars don't completely fix. So if it's anything other than rear wing or front wing damage, then you're kind of having a little bit of trouble for the rest of the race. But not quite the case with these modifieds here. Obviously, it's a short track, so aerodynamics is not as big of a deal. Really, the big thing is just that you got to protect that engine in these things, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. And looks like we're going to have Yeah, double file restart, as we did have a good run there before that caution. So iRacing, usually if you get a caution early after the initial start, they'll give you a single file restart. But we did have a nice, good green flag run there before that happened. So they'll get a chance to double them up and get our first restart of the race. Is Ryan Bean on the inside and Jeff Paisley still on the outside. The green flag is out. Jeff Paisley, not a very good jump, and that's going to cost him second, if not more. We'll see. He's able to get inside, or get to the inside line in third.
Yeah, it's definitely a situation of you don't want to start on that inside, because what happens is you end up getting or on that outside, sorry. If you get stuck out there, if the guy on the inside gets the jump on you, I mean, you're in non-preferred line for at least turns 1 and 2, and maybe even into 3 and 4, and that can end up just getting you freight trained. Luckily for my dad, he ended up getting in line relatively quickly, so he only lost 1. But if we have another caution, I mean, that actually puts him in the preferred position. So you never know. It could end up being that he'll get it back. Maybe we could end up seeing Ryan Bean make a little bit of contact with the wall or something, and then putting him back there. Who knows? It's one of those things that anything can happen in racing.
Garrett Kinder was stuck on the outside line, lost 2 spots, but gets back in line ahead of Casey Kuntz in 6th. William Griffith has now moved up 6 positions there in that 12 machine. He's now up to P9, so ever so slightly throughout these green flag laps and on these restarts, or at least that restart, he's gaining a lot of positions inside the top 10 now. Rusty Modesty ahead of him in 8th is our second biggest mover. He's up 4 spots.
I got a couple of these guys that are coming from the back up towards the front at this point, which is always a good thing. The guys that are faster will always end up finding a way to get up front. This track appears to be relatively not the easiest place to pass, but like I said, the faster cars will always end up finding their way through the field. It's just a matter of time and how long it takes. And so far, both Rusty Modesty and William Griffith have done a pretty good job of making it through the field to get to where they're sort of getting towards the front.
Speaking up front, Ryan Bean still our front runner, and Cody Bohm was on his back bumper for a little bit, but the more green flag laps we're getting here, he's starting to run away. And I mean, there's no mistake on why he's leading the points, most wins in the season out of anybody. I mean, just absolutely dominant every week at building a really good setup. He runs these, or at least has run these in real life, his father as well. So he really knows how to get the best out of these cars.
Yeah, and I think that real life experience is definitely helping him out quite a bit here. Knowing what those cars kind of do and what they feel like in the corner can be a great advantage, especially since these are basically an emulation of those. He's been spectacular all season, really, and having a little bit of that knowledge from real life, even, that can go towards the setup of knowing what exactly it feels like when you change certain things, can be just incredible. And he's really
we have a spinner in front of him. That's Mikey Keller. That's going to be a caution. Oh, and the smoke almost costs Ryan Bean his car. That's the tough thing about iRacing now, is that new smoke model. If you're behind the wreck, it's really hard to tell where that car is.
Well, frankly, I'd rather have this smoke model. It's a little bit more realistic, because when you go to them short tracks and everything, and you see the cars spin out, you really can't see very much, can you?
So you see Mikey Keller spin there. Now we're gonna go back, and we're gonna go on board with Ryan Bean here just to see how tough it is to see where that car is.
Yeah, you can see it happening in front of him there, but...
And it doesn't help that left bar there is in the way as well. And so, I mean, it was really tough to find where he was.
Yeah, definitely. To be honest, he did a really good job of getting around that. I personally would have thought that that Mikey Keller would have continued going up the track instead of stopping where he did. But very good job out of Ryan there to not make contact with him. It could have definitely been very unfortunate for him with that.
Yeah, very fortunate, because He might have been able to get a quick repair and make it back to pit road, but that would have cost him all this track position, that clean air. So for him, he's very happy he missed that, obviously. Cody Boehm, you never want to wish bad luck onto somebody in terms of wrecking, but he would have taken the lead. He would have been happy with it.
And I think it would have balanced out the field just a little bit, right? We would end up having a battle for the lead as opposed to a battle for second and third. Just Ryan with the absolutely spectacular setups week after week. It's just been kind of rather insane to see just how incredible he's had his cars made. Definitely Cody Boehm was wishing that that Ryan had definitely hit that.
Well, now Cody Boehm's going to have to start on the outside line with Jeff Paisley in third behind the leader. Harold Rothery and Josh Oswald rounding out your top 5. And well, I'm not sure if William Griffith pit for maybe fuel. I'm going to take a quick look. I don't know if he had to get fuel because it looked like Mikey Keller did get off the track. He got a tow, so I'm thinking Griffith went down for fuel and maybe tires, but it could take a while to get tires. We'll see. Yeah, he got right side tires and fuel, it looks like.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's thinking that he can get a bit of an advantage here from putting on new tires. Obviously, with it being kind of a flat track, you definitely wear those outside tires a little bit more than somewhere that like Bristol with a lot of banking. So it may end up working out for him, really. I mean, he was kind of stagnating a little bit there once he'd made it to the top 10, but maybe this will end up giving him that little bit of push that he needed.
As we are off and back racing, the battle for second is on. Jeff Paisley is able to get out ahead of Cody Boehm, so these two look like they're going to be swapping that position all night long, as Harold Rothery stuck on that outside line with Josh Oswald below him, and there could be a he gets loose and completely takes out Josh Oswald, and it has become a parking lot.
Yeah, big wreck. That was a big wreck on that one.
Yeah, we talked about how, or I said that Jeff Paisley and Cody Boehm are going to be swapping that position all night long. Well, now this restart, Jeff's going to be on the outside, Cody on the inside. So they're just going to keep going back and forth. But we're going to take a quick look at this wreck. You kind of saw it live there, but we'll take another look. Harold got really loose off the turn, it looked like, and just got into Josh. And unfortunately, from there on, not a lot of track to go for the people behind to avoid that.
Yeah, definitely not. Kind of unfortunate for everybody behind him there. He just got a little bit loose, and this track being a little bit tight, not too terribly tight, but just enough tight to where restarts can get a little bit hairy. Unfortunately, when you make that slight mistake, it can really cost. It looks like a lot of people at the start of that one.
You see Casey Kuntz get a fresh car there. A lot of people having to get fresh cars after that wreck. And he's going to get right side tires as well. Might as well, if you're there, get at least 2 tires.
Yeah, might as well take the tires, get yourself that free little advantage that some of them might not have. I would like to point out that was a net gain for William Griffith, because with a lot of the people that ended up wrecking, there were a lot of the guys that were towards the front, and that puts some of the cars that maybe weren't as fast right in front of him, but he's all the way up to 7th now. So, I mean, that actually is kind of boding well for him, right? Because he may be a little bit faster than some of the guys that are in front of him, and he got and he has a bit fresher tires than them too. Let's also not forget that he's starting on the inside. So, I mean, basically speaking, that's de facto 6th, right?
Yeah, we'll see what he's able to gain if he's able to gain some spots on this restart. If you enjoy what you're watching here tonight at Stafford, make sure to tune in tomorrow night as well for we're going to be here in the super late models. So If you haven't seen the super late models race yet after the update, make sure to tune in tomorrow night because they look pretty slick. So going to be some fun racing tomorrow night, but obviously we got some racing left here tonight to handle.
Yeah, super late models are pretty much fun everywhere because they got a lot of horsepower in them. They have a decent amount of downforce really for the kind of cars that they have, but they always end up putting on a pretty good show. A lot like these modified tours tend to do. So this should be that should be pretty fun tonight or tomorrow night as well.
Jeff Paisley there in the 7 will be in the booth with me, so I know he'd like to be broadcasting tomorrow night with a win here at Stafford. But Ryan Bean is just Ryan Bean's really tough to beat, and we're gonna if anybody's able to beat him tonight or any night that we watch him race, because in his post race interviews he always talks about how every week is not a given race for him to win. But man, it shows every week how quick he is, and if we do it, and people have beat him before this season, and if you are able to in these last 3 races, it really proves something with how fast he's been all season long.
Yeah, definitely. He's been definitely the benchmark for what is and isn't speed in this series. He's been really good as they go 3 wide in the back of the pack, actually, which.
Yeah, it looked like a slow. It looked like a lapped car. Maybe it was slowed down. I'm not sure, but yeah, William Griffith up to 6th, and right behind David Hall there in the 3 car. And if William can get himself inside the top 5, there's going to be a little bit of a gap to the top 4. As you see a line of 4 cars here. That's Ryan Bean, Cody Boehm, Jeff Paisley, and Garrett Kinder, all running away from the rest of the pack currently.
Yeah, and Garrett, I think he started a little bit down the field, didn't he? No, he actually started 4th, but
6th.
6th, sorry. So we haven't quite seen what his outright pace is yet, because he's been behind a couple people. But now that he's out in 4th, we'll really get to kind of see what he can do, keep up with this front group here.
Absolutely. Cody Boehm last couple times he's been near Ryan, he sticks with him for the first 5 or so laps, and that's when you start to see Ryan on the longer run away. We'll see if he does the same here, but man, even if he does, this top 4 has really separated themselves from David Hall in 5th and everybody behind him, as there's some battling going on back there as well.
Absolutely. These top 4 got their setup kind of on lock. These cars are all fast. They're being very consistent, and quite frankly, they're just a class above everybody else. It's almost like they have a different engine in their cars.
I mean, this is kind of a point in case of, it doesn't matter how fast you are. If you're stuck in traffic, there's just almost nowhere to go. I mean, Garrett Kinder's been stuck outside the top 5 almost this whole entire race, and after that wreck, he just avoided that wreck and restarted 4th. And he stayed up here and has run away from everybody else in 5th and behind, like I said. So it just a little bit of opportunity, a little bit of luck that can get you into a better position, and you can really see the true speed of a car.
Yeah, and he's cutting that bottom relatively well here. I think he actually has a little bit better speed than both my dad and the guy in 2nd, Cody Boehm. I think he's a little bit faster than both of them at the moment. He's just kind of stuck biding his time here. So we'll see if that speed is kind of him just pushing just a little bit more than he needs to, or if that car really can do that, as it looks like Cody's struggling here just a little bit with his car. Maybe overheated those tires just a little bit here. This is one of the longest runs that we've had so far.
Yeah, we're past that kind of 5 lap mark I mentioned, 5 to 10, and I mean, look, Ryan Bean running away once again. Now 1.3 second lead over Jeff Paisley we're on board with, and about a second over Cody Boehm. You're seeing Cody Boehm just looks like he's getting tight on exit. So that's going to, if Jeff can get a good enough run on exit, if that 78 car in front of him gets tight enough, he can make it look to the inside. But right now, it's just, you're seeing on board here just how tough it is to not only get to that car, but try to pass him.
Yeah, and you want to be careful about making the contact with them. Well, I think Cody Boehm's a good enough driver to probably be able to take it. you never know with these cars; they can get rather fidgety. So, got to be careful when going for the pass on somebody if you're going to want to use that bumper.
Garrett Kinder there in fourth, one of the drivers who has a win this season, along with Tanner Marr, Jason Warren, both not in tonight's race, and Kenny Younts. So a lot of the drivers who have won a race, not even in tonight's race. So other than Garrett Kinder, everybody else out on track right now are potential first-time winners of this season.
Yeah, and I'd like to see Josh Oswald get up there and have a chance at the win. He's been really fast all season, and it's been kind of unfortunate to see him kind of finish second to Ryan Bean as much as he has. He's definitely had the speed to win a couple of these times, but it just hasn't quite been in the cards yet. So I'd like to see him get up there, but these top three just, man, they can't get away from each other, it seems.
Let's,
sorry,
just real quick, I wanted to point out the driver who we need to keep an eye on right now is Casey Kuntz. He took those right side tires, and he's already up into fifth right now. So, I mean, he's on the move, and now, other than lap cars, a clear track ahead of him to the top four.
Yeah, but if it stays green, you also have to ask the question of, did it take him too long to get through the field? Because there's a big gap there between what is fifth and what is fourth. So it's also one thing to catch somebody as well. So it might have taken him just a little bit too long with that strategy if those tires really are quite as fast as they appear to be.
Well, unfortunately for him, it wasn't much of a strategy call as much as it was he was a part of that wreck and had to get damage fixed. So he's doing great with what he was given in terms of the situation. And, I mean, it is 4.5 seconds to Garrett Kinder in fourth, but, I mean, we just reached past halfway. So a whole another half of this race to go, and either plenty of time to try to catch up or plenty of time for another caution to come out for him.
Definitely. There's definitely enough time, and with this track being rather tight, it can end up leading to making a slight mistake on exit, can end up causing a caution from just making contact with the wall. But so far, everybody's been, quite frankly, really well behaved tonight. Everybody's been really respectful when trying to make passes and everything. So very good racing out of everybody. This has been definitely one of the longer green flag laps runs that we've had in a long time.
Yeah, it really looks like Jeff Paisley and Garrett Kinder might have a little bit more pace than Cody Bowen right now, but it just does not matter. As long as he runs a nice line and doesn't make a mistake, he'll be able to hold that gap over them, at least for now. You might see him get a little more impatient as the laps tick by, but at least for now he's able to hold that over him. And you want to, if you're behind him, you want to bump him out of the way, but we've seen in these cars any little contact can turn someone around.
Yeah, you almost have to see it coming to be able to catch it with that, but I mean, you can't hold up people up too bad, because if you keep holding somebody up, eventually speaking, they're going to lose their patience and they'll just give you that little bit of a push. So hopefully Cody can either find a little bit more pace in there, or we can end up seeing my dad get there just a little bit better out of the corner to try to make the pass happen, because they are getting really close now and trying to get past them. As I think Garrett Kinder is actually going to get a move here. Oh wow, he actually didn't end up managing to make it stick though, so that'll give Cody Boehm a little bit of room to breathe for a moment, because he's been having my dad breathe down his neck the entire race so far since they went back green. As I think Cody's kind of struggling on his tires at the moment. Something in his setup is definitely overheating those rears on him, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Cody Boehm, because as the leader, Ryan Bean, you want to see these guys battle it out to build a gap like he has, about 3 seconds, 2.5 over Cody Boehm. But as Cody, you want to see these drivers behind you battle, so you don't have to, maybe if you don't have the pace they do, at least if they battle, that gives you a little bit of a buffer over them, because it'll slow both of them down. So right now they're not racing each other, and that's allowing them to catch back up. But Cody, every time he sees that, he's going to be enjoying it.
Yeah, if I'm Garrett Kinder here, I think I'm staying just a little bit behind, not really pushing the number 7, my dad, too much. I think I'm just going to be sitting there. Just that you're faster than the 78, and you also know that my dad is faster than the 78. So both of you guys are having a little bit of trouble passing him. So you got to just let the guy in front of you work if you want to get that position, I think. It's one of those situations of that little bit of patience maybe can go a little bit of a long way here, right? And then you just wait until they can actually get beside him and then go for the strike as well, and then just get below him and then kind of freight train him a little bit as we end up seeing the lap car of Philip Manzo coming in now. And that might end up brokering a bit of a move if they're not careful.
Yeah, he gets out of the way respectfully, and that'll go to the likes of Cody Boehm, as he didn't get held up at all, and that won't at least ruin his chance to hold on to second, at least for now. But more and more cars coming up, and yeah, right now Casey Kuntz, I was keeping an eye on him. He had pace.
Oh, they slid in.
What happened?
Sorry. They both Cody Boehm and Jeff Paisley. They both slid about like halfway up the track, kind of outbraking themselves.
Don't want to do
that.
that.
Could have. Yeah. Quite frankly, I'm surprised that neither of them lost a position from it.
Yeah, Casey Kuntz, and really, I mean, you can tell on the times because he was just 6 seconds back. Now it's 5.5 from Garrett Kinder. But he's kind of stuck right now. He's in 5th. He's 2.5 seconds ahead of David Hall, but he's 5.5 behind Garrett Kinder. So he's just on an island right now, and no position to gain or to lose. But hey, I mean, it can't be too bad. You at least know if a caution did not come out in the next 45 laps that you would have a top 5 locked up.
And you can never be too mad at the top 5, right? That means that you at least were one of the 5 best guys there, and I mean it's a good points day all in all. So you can't be too distraught with that. But I think he's definitely wishing that there was a caution just to catch him up to the field here.
Yeah, the field really, other than these 3, the field's really stretched out. We have, like we mentioned, Casey Kuntz in 5th. David Hall's in 6th right now, 2.5 seconds ahead of Rusty Modesty. Rusty Modesty has a second gap over Joaquin Meza in 8th, and he has a 1.9 second lead over William Griffith, who is actually the last car on the lead lap, but that's about to change.
Yeah, as times kind of fly here. This race is starting to tick down a little bit now. If you remember, just like a couple minutes ago, we were at like 50 to go, but now all of a sudden we have almost half the field a lap down. It's kind of surprising, really, just how quick this race has been.
Yeah, and I mean it's only a 4-car difference or so, but I mean 16 instead of 20 cars might have something to do with it, but. That doesn't change anything for me. If we can field 20 cars next week, that's absolutely what I'll be asking for, just because it gives that even more competition. Or it could just be, it's just a really nice drive by all these drivers at this track tonight, because it can always change track to track. Even if you only have 10 cars next week, it could be a tough track, and you could have a bunch of cautions. So. Really, I mean, we do have 4 less drivers, but I'm not sure too much that it's that. I think just everybody tonight is holding their own a little better and being very respectful of everyone around them.
Absolutely.
And actually, nope, they're wrecking. Jeff Paisley went to take that spot away from Cody Boehm, and they got together. We're going to check that out. No caution, but we're going to check it out.
Yeah, it looked like Cody may have gotten into the wall or got loose.
Yeah, I'm seeing it now. It looks like he got into the wall. Oh, he got loose and nowhere to go for Jeff Paisley. And unfortunately for both, there's the caution. Not sure what the caution is.
Those tires were absolutely done on Cody. If you go on his onboard, he is really turning that wheel at this point. He was trying to wring that car for everything it was worth at that point.
Well, the only person who didn't want to see that one, Ryan Bean, he had a 3-second lead over Cody Boehm at the time, so he's just going to have to at least have one more good jump, but he's done it plenty of times before, so I imagine he'll get it done, but you never know what can happen on these restarts.
Absolutely, and I think if you're still on the lead lap at this point, you should just go pit. There's only 7 cars on the lead lap, and you can get kind of a free advantage really if you go and do that.
I'm thinking maybe back half, like if you're in 6th, 7th, 8th, maybe. We did see Cody Boehm go down pit road, William Griffith as well. He just got his lap back as a free pass. But if you're up here near the front, I would not, just because that track position has definitely seemed very important here tonight.
Track position's important, but when you've run 89 laps almost consecutively on these tires, I mean they're starting to scream at you. So it may even be worth it to come in and take those tires just to try to give yourself a little bit of an advantage on them, you know?
Yeah, but if you're Ryan Bean, I just think there's no doubt that you have to stay out, because I think I'd rather be in the lead and make the person behind me pass me than take tires and be at a risk of getting collected in a wreck while you're in the, even if it's just 8 cars back, you risk being collected up in a wreck. So clean air and making someone pass you, which has been proven to be tough tonight. I absolutely agree with the call from Ryan Bean and kind of these guys up front. But we'll see. We're going to have Cody Boehm on fresh tires. Unfortunately, he went a lap down. I think he went a lap down, maybe getting 4 tires. I don't know. But and yeah, I think William Griffith, I think he just got the free pass and went back a lap down on pit road. So not sure we have anybody on fresh tires right now, which means that's not really going to hurt these guys who stayed out.
We have Jeff Paisley on fresh tires. He went and got tires after getting spun. Yep.
He's going to, looks like actually, yeah, he's coming around to get his spot back.
So I guess we're gonna end up testing my theory out a little bit here, aren't we? Find out if taking tires may have been the right idea or not.
Well, for Jeff Paisley, I would say it was a no-doubter, just because that spin caused them to go to the back of the lead lap pack anyways. So I definitely would agree with that there. And if he's in 5th right now and he pit, I imagine David Hall and Joaquin Meza pit as well. Because when they spun out, I mean, no doubt that would have put him back. But Ryan Bean gets off to a great jump. Green flag is back out. 32 laps here at Stafford Motor Speedway. Casey Kuntz, Garrett Kinder side by side. Jeff Paisley behind him. Got to be very careful. Almost 3 wide back here.
Yeah, and with the amount of grip that he has, he needs to be careful there. If you're going to be having those fresh tires, you're going to be a lot faster than the guys. I learned that personally at Bristol, or not at Bristol, at Dover in the Cup Series a couple weeks ago. That these cars can have such a speed differential when you have those fresh tires. So, I mean, ultimately speaking, with where he is, it's almost like he's really none the worse for wear. He's managed to get at least one of his positions back here, and it's looking like he can probably get both of the guys in front of him if he can just find a way past. Maybe even use the guy in 2nd as a bit of a pick for him against Garrett Kinder, Casey Kuntz up there. Although yeah, Casey, I believe he had fresh tires as well, right?
He had gotten 2 tires, yeah, the last caution round. But I mean, this is why, as Ryan Bean, you know, these two up here battling in front of Jeff Paisley, even if he's on those fresher tires, there's nowhere to go for him right now. And he's now 1.3 seconds back from our leader already with under 30 laps to go. And we have 18-second laps here while they're running 19 right now. So very quick laps. And with every lap, Ryan Bean is gaining time over each driver on the field, or on the track, I guess you could say.
Yeah, everybody's just being just a little bit cautious here, trying to feel it out, right? And just to try to find that little bit of a spot as, oh dear, they end up making the pass there. That was really tight. But that puts both Garrett Kinder and Jeff Paisley on the podium.
Garrett Kinder gets right tight. Now. There goes Jeff Paisley to the bottom.
Yeah, and that puts fresh tires in 2nd. with about 25 laps to go. So this actually could end up working out for him, especially if we get another caution. He'll have a chance at this.
Garrett Kinder getting a little bit tight there in third. Trying to get that car to turn on exit, it looks like, is the tough thing to do.
Yeah, when you've been on those tires for as long as he has, especially once they've had a chance to cool down, and they go through a heat cycle, they just don't quite do what you want them to anymore, right? Like they've already been well past their wear, and then they got cooled down and then reused. Any kind of handling condition that you were having has just gotten that much worse. So you need to be really careful with that when going forward, as it very well could just be one of those situations of his car may have been handling fine when the tires were hot, but second that they had to cool down, it was kind of over from there, right? As it does look like my dad's actually catching Ryan Bean here. Those fresh tires do appear to be helping him out.
Garrett Kinder trying to hold this third spot over David Hall, stay on the podium. But David Hall was one of the people who pit with Jeff Paisley. Joaquin Meza did as well. So he's on fresher tires behind Garrett, trying to make that pass on him. Jeff Paisley is 6/10 back now from Ryan Bean, but even with fresh tires, we got to see once he gets to him what he can do with those fresher tires with 22 to go here at Stafford Motor Speedway here in the Mr. Meza Tacos 125.
Yeah, you have to almost think that wreck was almost a bit of a blessing in disguise, right? It ended up giving him some fresher tires, and then he got a good starting position, which really helped him out here. He's now went up and caught Ryan now, as we have a caution come out.
Caution is out.
Somebody's backwards on the backstretch, as it is Harold Rothery, and his engine is blown. Ooh, it was a bigger wreck too, with the 6 of Rusty Modesty, it would appear.
I got to tell you, so you talked about how Jeff, probably wanted a caution to get a restart next to him, but man, he was catching him so quick. I'm not sure he wanted that caution after all, because unfortunately for him, this caution does, as you see, him and Rusty Modesty, Harold Rothery, get together. This at least ticks off some laps for Ryan Bean, that he doesn't have to race for that lead, and he can catch Jeff Paisley off guard on this restart. So you got to think, if you're Jeff Paisley, you didn't want that caution, because you had 20 laps to go and much fresher tires.
Yeah, it's definitely not ideal, right? Because you were catching him as much as he was, and then all of a sudden, kind of that work that you just did went out the window. But if you do get a good restart here, well, then you're right side by side by him, right? But the question is whether or not he'll get a good jump, or whether or not Garrett's going to be able to put up much of a fight below him on the restart, because Ryan's pretty good at these restarts, so I wouldn't expect him to not get a pretty good jump here. But the question will all be, I think, if Garrett can hold on to that bottom on the restart, or if those fresher tires are really going to be that important.
Yeah, we saw in that last run, when Jeff Paisley was stuck in fourth, Garrett Kinder made a move on I believe it was Casey Kuntz, passed him. That opened the door for Jeff Paisley, and then all he had to do was pass one car of Garrett, and he did it quickly. So if you're Jeff, you want to match Ryan Bean on this restart, but you got to make sure, like you said, to at least come out of this restart in second, because if you get stuck behind somebody, you might have to take too much time to pass them to try to catch the leader. So if he can come out in second on this restart, I definitely still think he has a really good chance at trying to take this win away from Ryan Bean.
Absolutely. Being in second, I think, is by far the priority here. Getting that good jump it's everything, I think, for him at this point. If he can get that very well could mean the win, because he has the speed in those tires now to definitely go up there and take this if he can get there. The question is whether or not how hard Garrett's going to fight him. And if Garrett doesn't end up fighting him too terribly hard, then that definitely will open the door for him to go and try to chase down Ryan. This suddenly got really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this race a little while ago, before that caution, before this one at least, looked like it was Ryan Bean's race, and he had it all locked up, but we are far from that now. Your front row, 2 different sets of tires, old tires on the 28 on the inside, the 7 on the outside, fresher tires, potentially the last restart of the race. The green flag is out. A great jump for Ryan Bean, and now we focus on Jeff Paisley. Can he get out ahead in second? He does. He has 15 laps, and he overruns the turn, gets into the wall. That's going to cost him second, maybe third. He gets out ahead of Casey Kuntz. So he has damage, but we'll see. It's not over yet.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he has too much damage, though. I think the bar on the tire ended up saving
they're wrecking
most
behind
of that
him.
as they're wrecking behind him.
But they keep it straight somehow.
Yeah, that might have ended up costing him his chance at the win, but at least he's still in second, as he sent it way too hard.
Yeah,
he was definitely trying to force his way out towards the front, but it looked like Garrett wasn't really going to fight it anyway.
Yeah, we'll see how big that damage is, because, I mean, we saw Jeff, you know, kind of reel in our leader in like 5 to 10 laps. So it's still not over, but it's all dependent on how bad that damage is, because it doesn't matter how good your tires are if your damage is kind of limiting you.
Yeah, and it's not just about damage. You have to remember that when you make a mistake like that, it can end up kind of throwing you off for a little bit, right? So you got to get back in that groove, and he doesn't have very long to do that. So hopefully he can pull it together here and get back up there, as he does look like he is gaining again, which means that there isn't very much damage to the car. It's just he's got to get back in the grooves, keep digging, and try to get back up there, because I think he's going to have maybe one chance at this.
Cody Boehm, who was racing with Jeff earlier, not as good of luck. He went a lap down a little while ago. He's back on the lead lap in 7th as he's trying to find his way near the top 5. 10 laps to go for Ryan Bean. He's looking to collect his 6th win of the season out of about 10 races. So if he can complete that, absolutely amazing performance for him through 10 races this season, and still 2 left for him if he wins this one, to try to get a total of 8 wins on the season. But I won't get too far ahead of myself. We still have 9 laps to go here. A lot can happen in 9 laps.
Yeah, and everything can end up changing if you make that one slight mistake out of the corner. You could end up hitting the wall. Obviously, Ryan's been the car to beat all night. It looked like we were going to have a race for the lead there, but that caution kind of changed things, and ended up drawing a mistake out of my dad, but definitely been a good performance for both of them, really. It's just been one of the situations of unfortunate that we had that caution, really, because we would have ended up having that race for the lead.
7 laps to go. Ryan Bean 1 second gap over Jeff Paisley, so Jeff's going to at least make him think about it here with 6 laps to go now.
Yeah, you want to at least keep him honest. That's maybe all that he can do at this point. Just try to keep him honest, as it does look like his wheel is turned in just a little bit, which means that there could be ever so slight damage to that outside wheel, which is going to slow him down a bit.
As Garrett Kinder currently sitting in 3rd on that podium spot, has gapped Casey Kuntz just a little bit, maybe 2 or 3 car lengths. As caution is out, Rusty Modesty is around, and we are going to have a green-white checkered here at Stafford Motor Speedway, and that shakes things up at least one more time.
Yeah, I think this is kind of gives my dad just one more shot at this, right? Because that'll closen it up. Maybe he can get to the bumper of Ryan and throw him off a bit, with maybe even not wreck him if he can just get there. As the 3 of David Hall ends up getting into the back of Rusty Modesty there.
It looked like netcode to me, unfortunately, for those 2.
Oh yeah, that's definitely netcode. There we go. iRacing servers do not seem to like it towards the later end of the day, for sure.
That's gonna, I believe, see if Michael Swink gets the free pass to put him back on the lead lap. I'm not sure, because David Hall was already on the lead lap, I believe. believe he might have been. No, he might have been a lap down. Never mind. Yep. So you see there, Michael Swink in the 30. That's going to put 9 cars back on the lead lap here. That's why you never give up. Even if you go a lap down, it looks like you're never going to get back on the lead lap. And then you have 3 or 4 cautions at the end of the race, and boom, you're right back into fighting for top 10 lead lap positions.
Absolutely. And as we know, cautions kind of breed cautions just from the sake of everybody so close together. And once you're getting towards the end of the race, I mean, you're going to start having people shoot gaps that they maybe wouldn't have gone for earlier in the race. And it just shakes up the field just that little bit. And if there was any give that Garrett Kinder gave my dad in the previous one, I don't think he's going to be getting it this time, just as much as I wouldn't expect anybody to be giving any sort of break to anyone at this point. Because at this point, if you're, say, 9th or 10th, you just got to start moving, right? Like, if you want to have any sort of chance of getting a top 5 or really just anywhere better than where you are currently, you have to start moving.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, as Garrett Kinder's teammate, he absolutely did not give that position to Jeff. So Jeff had to earn that one, and he did. Unfortunately, he made that mistake. But, yeah, Garrett Kinder, I don't care if it's lap 1 or lap 100, lap 125, whatever. He's never going to give up a spot. So if you see somebody pass him, they earned it. So Jeff obviously has a fast car, and we're going to see if he can he has at least one more opportunity up here with Ryan, as does Garrett Kinder and guys like Casey Kuntz, Cody Bowen.
Absolutely. Garrett's not usually one to give up a position freely, so it's always a bit of a good thing when you can end up getting past him, really, because he is quite quick himself, and so it makes it to where when you're having to try to pass him, it can be a little bit difficult because he has that speed in him, and when you have speed and then you have a bit of a tendency to really defend your position, it can make you really difficult to get past, especially if you're just not going to let it happen. Because at the end of the day, I mean, we're essentially speaking supposed to be racing drivers, right? And our jobs as being racing drivers is to finish at the highest point that we can. As we go green here, Garrett to the inside.
2 laps to go.
No,
and Garrett is spun around. No, as the caution is out, Cody Bowen. And we're going to have another restart here late in this race.
I think that might have been a bit of netcode. I'd have to go back and see. But it looked like they may have made a slight bit of contact, or that was a netcode spin for sure. Yeah, the car shouldn't pivot like that with what that was.
That tire definitely looked like it made some contact. I might have to disagree with you a little bit there. Or at least it was very, very close when he spun around.
Yeah, it was very close, but I'm still gonna say that I would say that the net code that you're seeing there, that car should not have pivoted in the way that it did from that minor of a hit.
Take one more look out the back of the car here.
It was very close, needless to say. Like, I'm not going on board with it. I'm not hearing any sort of contact from it. Just part of the reason why I'm saying it's netcode, but it was definitely a very close thing.
Gonna have another restart here late in this race. Ryan Bean, now Casey Kuntz up to second, Joaquin Meza third, Rusty Modesty fourth, and Garrett Kinder all the way back to fifth now. So that is your new top 5. We're starting to see some of those names a little bit outside the top 5 now with this green white checkered, and I believe last one up here with the chance to try to win this race. Yep, last green white checkered.
Yeah, definitely the last one that we're going to get for the night. Somehow Joaquin Meza is in third place. Earlier in the race, he was on his lid. So definitely a bit of a comeback here for him.
Absolutely. Never quit for Joaquin, and now he has a chance to finish in the podium, if not try to win this thing. as we are awaiting this final restart. We'll see if the lights come off this next time around to send us on our way to the last green-white checkered attempt that we have, as Cody Boehm going to have to get the wave around to get his lap back. He'll be in the 9th position, but he'll be behind the lap cars. And looks like it's going to be a single file restart.
It's a little surprising, especially since it's just the final restart of the race. But
Pace truck's off one last time. The green flag is out. Ryan Bean is off, and that restart might just send him to victory. Number 6 is a battle for third. Rusty Modesty goes to the low line to try to make a pass on Joaquin Meza.
I think he's going to...
Oh, wrecking! And Garrett Kinder gets caught up in it. But he stays rolling, and that might just get him a podium position. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm not sure where anybody's going to finish in that.
But Ryan Bean with that caution coming out. Win number 6 for our points leader and ultimately points champion, as we have 2 races left and all but locked it up basically in that 28. Josh Oswald in second right now, but pretty far behind in points, and an unlucky race for him here tonight has him finishing what could be in the 11th or 10th position. But checkered flag is out. Ryan Bean, your race winner. Casey Kuntz finishing second, and Garrett Kinder, even with that heavy contact, does finish third.
Yeah, a bit of a surprising one there for Kinder, being able to finish in the top 3 while spinning. So good job on him to, I guess, keep it rolling, right? So that way he ended up getting that podium. So ultimately came out of it with a decent night overall. Because it looks like Josh ended up going and doing the road course bit of the track.
And well, this is not new to Ryan Bean doing burnouts, at least in this car. Obviously in the SK Modified, tougher to do, but in this car, nothing new for Ryan. We questioned after the first half of the season, we didn't really question Ryan, but we did question if we would see any kind of newcomers up front in a new car, and just has not been the case.
No, Ryan's just made it even a bigger gap in a way. I mean, ever since we went to these cars, I think he's won every race in these cars. Am I correct, or did he miss one of them?
Yeah, I'm not completely sure on that one. But he's won a lot of races in this car no matter what. He won at North. He 3-6. So he won at Nashville. He won at Lanier. We'll get him in here, ladies and gentlemen. We're just seeing, and USA last week as well. So yeah, he's won every race in this car, and we're gonna go ahead and now get him in here and get his thoughts on tonight's race. And there he is in front row racing along with his teammate Casey Kuntz. Hey Ryan, Zach and Will in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. What's up, guys?
Well, man, we just talked about the stat that you've won every race in this wheeling tour ever since we switched over. So absolute dominance from you every single week. It's a lot of fun to watch you out front. So first of all, congratulations. And my question to you is, we saw Jeff Paisley get new tires when he was a part of that incident. Was there anything inside your mind telling you that you thought or maybe thought about getting tires?
No. If he passed me, he passed me. I wasn't going to take new tires and get the risk of getting back in the midfield where, I heard from my teammates it was getting a little hairy there at the end. So if he would have passed me, he would have passed me. But I kind of let off a little bit when he was catching me, just trying to save my stuff in case, I did need it later in the race. And luckily, with about 10-15 to go, and that car was as fast as it ever felt. Maybe the lap times weren't good, but the car felt amazing, and I think I was running away from him a little bit. But once again, I feel like that was the perfect setup for this track. Tires look good. Looking at them now, that was just a really fun race overall.
Yeah, and you were pretty dominant all night. Without the cautions coming out, you definitely would have ended up having the fastest car pretty much every single lap of the entire race. And I mean, here you are sitting here with, I believe it's 6 or 7 wins on the season. And I mean, now you are definitely the undisputed champion of the season. So, how are you feeling about that?
Oh man, that's and I came into this league. I was just looking to have fun. I didn't really expect to be competitive, but luckily I'd like to think I'm a quick learner, and it's been super fun all season. Yeah, I've won a bunch of races, but I feel like I've had to work hard for a bunch of them. So it's super fun. I'm obviously super proud of myself, super proud of my team, and of course this league's just so much fun to drive in. I definitely can't wait for next season.
Well, congratulations on your win tonight, and congratulations on the championship. Do you have anybody to shout out?
Yeah, Williams Auto Group sponsor me and my guys at Front Row Racing. Got a 1-2 today. Could have had 3, but Rusty got caught up in that last wreck. But all the league admins, and they put on a great show. We didn't have many cars today, but we still hopefully put on a good show, good racing, and you guys up in the booth, great broadcast, and that's it. That's all I got.
Well, congratulations again.
Yeah, thanks guys. Have a good one.
You too. All right, we'll go ahead and get his teammate in here now, who finished in second place, like you mentioned. Now we got Casey in here. Hey, Casey, Zach and Will in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, I got you. Yep.
Well, we just talked to your teammate, and a great finish for you too, finishing second. We kept an eye on you. You took 2 tires, I think maybe halfway through the race, and got yourself up to 5th. But hey, you finished this race second. How was it maybe getting through some of that carnage there at the end of the race?
Yeah, I think that the tires definitely helped. I think I put it around like lap 40 or 45 or something like that. But that helped me get back through the field, and then I wish I would have stayed green at the end of the race, Ryan. I probably didn't have anything for him, but I know he was on old tires the whole time, so it would have been interesting to see how close they could have got to him. But yeah, I just want to thank him for the setups, and also Williams Auto Group for sponsoring our team. But yeah, it was a good race, good time.
And you ended up having a relatively good race. You ended up pitting for those tires, and you ended up finding yourself in 5th and kind of alone out there, really, at that point. At that point in the race, were you starting to think that, okay, I'm sort of just going to be here? Did you think that you were starting to run out of speed in those tires, or
Yeah.
were you just kind of hoping for a caution?
Yeah, they were starting to wear a little bit. I was kind of stuck in, I think, 5th there for a while, and kind of a gap, behind me, in front of me there. So I thought maybe that's kind of where I was gonna stay. But then there was a few guys got in an accident there at the end. I think second and third place. I forget who it was that was up there, but I felt bad because I tried to slow down and I got into someone there during that accident, but I just couldn't get slowed down in time for that incident there at the end. But yeah, it was a good race though, especially our team. We had a good run tonight. So
Yeah. Well, congrats on your second place. You had a pretty good run tonight, I would say. So, do you have anybody to shout out?
just like I said, just Ryan Bean for doing the setups, and then Williams Auto Group for sponsoring our team, and all my other teammates for practicing all week with us and trying to get better, and definitely couldn't do it without them. So yeah, thank you.
All right, well,
Yeah,
congrats tonight, Casey.
All right, thank you guys.
All right, and finally we got Garrett in here. Garrett, Zach, and Will in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, a nice P3 finish for you. It didn't come without its adversity, I guess you could say. You battled back after that wreck, maybe some netcode with Jeff Paisley, and I guess take us through that last lap when you made contact with the guys who wrecked in front of you, but you somehow kept it straight through the grass and you finished third.
I wish I could figure out how I did that because I'd like to learn that skill. But no, I have no idea how I did it. I had my wheel cocked about 90 degrees to the right and was just still barely able to go straight. So it's unfortunate those guys up there got tangled up. Unfortunate Jeff and I got tangled up. We talked about it. It's no big deal. But overall, some great racing, some long green flag runs. Had a great time.
Yeah, and it was pretty exciting up there for quite a while. The top three, or what was it, the second, third, and fourth, sorry. All you guys were up there fighting each other for most of the race. What was your strategy since you were the third car in the pack? Were you just trying to kind of wait until, I guess, my dad was going to go for a move on him, or were you just trying to get past whoever you could?
Yeah, Cody and Jeff were up there battling hard, and I knew that I wouldn't be able to make it 3 wide because you can hardly make 2 wide work here. So I was just biding my time, waiting for somebody to slip up, somebody to make a mistake, or for somebody to actually get a little bit out of whack. But unfortunately, they got tangled up. Of course, I benefited from it. Still hate to see it though. I was telling them over voice chat that that was a great race up there. I enjoyed the second, third, and fourth. Me, Cody, and Jeff. That was a dang good time.
Yeah, well, congratulations on your third. It sounds like you'd said that wheel was like halfway sideways towards the end. So I guess the caution came out for you just at the right time with that. So congratulations on your third again. Do you have anybody to shout out?
Of course, I want to thank, everybody over at Thunderstruck Super Series. Put on a great little league over here. It's a great time. I love running these mods with these guys. Shout out to Ryan, if I'm not mistaken. I think he probably clinched the championship if he hadn't already. So shout out to him. He's been dominant all season. Good run by him. Want to shout out my niece and nephew back home, Colby and Kane. They're watching. Hello, how are y'all doing? Miss y'all. And of course, thank y'all up in the booth.
Well, congratulations again, man, and have a good night.
See y'all.
Yep. All right, that was your top 3 here tonight at Stafford Motor Speedway, and successful race, you could call it, with how many green flag runs we had. And I'll go ahead and pull up the results, and while I do, I'll let you take over and last thoughts on tonight's race.
Right. So last thoughts. I guess you could say that this one was definitely a race of cautions breed cautions. When we had green flag runs, I mean they were quite long for most of the race, but once we got towards that end of the race and we started to get people not giving each other very much room, because this is when you got to start moving. The cautions started coming out, and they kept coming out, and then this is just kind of what happens. You got to try to make things happen towards the end of the race, and sometimes mistakes happen. And well, that's where the cautions sort of came into play, and it definitely ended up changing the outcome of the race. I think if we would have went green after those tires, we may have even had a different winner. But with how everything ended up working out, it sort of ended up working in Ryan's favor. Well, a lot of these races really have. So it's definitely been a fun one. If we can have every single race for the rest of the season be kind of like this, I'd be a pretty happy camper.
Yeah, absolutely. Great showing by these drivers here tonight. I have a bad memory, so there could have been a better one, but I feel like this was, in recent history, one of the best races we've seen in this series all season long, and they put some pretty good shows on before, so that says something. And if I one quick second, no, never mind. I'm not even on the screen, so I won't try. But looking forward to next week, where we head off to Five Flags Speedway to go to our second to last track, and that's a tough track in its own respect. And we're going to see if these drivers can try to put on the same show they did this week next week.
Yeah, Five Flags is the Snowball Derby track, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So it should be a pretty fun one. If I remember correctly, that has a lot of banking to it. So it's going to be high speeds and plenty of overtaking opportunities. So it should be pretty fun.
Yeah, make sure to tune in tomorrow night. We'll be right back here at Stafford Motor Speedway for the Super Late Model Series here in the Thunderstruck Super Series. But as for tonight here from Stafford Motor Speedway, it's been Zach and Will in the booth. Have a good night.